It's 3 a.m. You're awake again. Not because of a nightmare. Because of your bank app. You check the number, do the same math, feel the same pressure in your chest, and stare at the same invisible fence around your life. That fence is the reason you can't quit the job you hate. It's the reason you tolerate the commute, the boss, the fake smile, the constant low-grade panic. It's the reason every decision has to pass one brutal test. Can I afford for this to go wrong? That's what most people call being an adult in 2026. But let's be honest, a lot of normal life is structurally designed to keep you broke. The bigger car, the nicer zip code, the subscription stack, the upgraded lifestyle every time your paycheck goes up, the status game, the endless pressure to look rich long before you actually are rich. And that's the trap. Because the 1% mindset is not about flexing. It's not yachts. It's not bottle service. It's not pretending you're wealthy because you financed a truck with a monthly payment that could have bought you freedom. The 1% mindset is much quieter than that. It's the moment you realize the goal is not to work for money forever. The goal is to build a machine that works for you while you sleep. An asset is anything that puts money back into your pocket. A liability is anything that pulls money out of it. That brand new truck with the giant screen and the ego boost? Liability. A broad market index fund quietly compounding in the background. Asset. One steals future options from you. The other buys them back. And here's the painful part nobody says loudly enough. The first $100,000 is a bitch. Not because $100,000 is some magical spiritual number. Because in the beginning, almost all the progress is you. You skipping dinners out. You saying no to the upgrade. You driving the old car. You keeping roommates longer than your ego wanted. You freezing your lifestyle while everybody else inflated theirs. If you invest about $1,000 a month and earn around 8% a year, by the time you hit your first $100,000, roughly 80% to 81% of that pile came from your own grinding contributions, not from the market. That means the first mountain is mostly climbed by your legs, not the escalator. That's why it feels so slow. That's why it feels unfair. That's why most people quit too early. Because at that stage, money is not working for you yet. It's more like an intern, a helpful intern, a promising intern, but still mostly you carrying the load. Then something mechanical happens. Not emotional. Mechanical. At a certain point, your money starts hiring more money. Let's say you're investing $12,000 a year, about $1,000 a month. At a 7% annual return, once your portfolio gets to around $171,000, it can generate about $12,000 a year on its own. Read that again. That means your money is now producing as much as you are contributing. That is the flip. That is the moment the machine starts to sound alive. From there, every dollar has employees. Your portfolio earns returns. Those returns earn returns. Then those returns hire more returns. And suddenly, the game changes from how hard can I work to how large is the system I own. That's the 1% mindset. Not, how do I look successful? But how do I own something that keeps paying me after I'm tired? And this is where people get fooled by appearances. Because real wealth is usually invisible. Morgan Housel put it perfectly. Wealth is what you don't see. The car not purchased, the jewelry not bought, the lifestyle upgrade declined. Source. So if you're looking around for wealthy people and expecting leased Mercedes, luxury logos, and loud money, you're going to miss most of them. Wealth often looks like a paid-off life and a 10-year-old Toyota. In fact, when Reuters told the story of Ronald Red, a gas station attendant and janitor in Vermont, the shocking part wasn't just that he quietly built an $8 million fortune. It was that almost nobody knew. He wore worn flannel shirts, lived frugally, and drove a second-hand Toyota Yaris. Reuters. That story matters because it destroys the lie that wealth is mainly about income. It's not. There are people making huge money who are still financially fragile. Lending Club reported that in early 2023, more than 4 in 10 high-income consumers were living paycheck to paycheck. Source. That's the guy in the $750,000 house who looks successful from the street but feels trapped in private. Big mortgage. Big car payments. Big expectations. A life that requires constant feeding. That's not freedom. That's just a prettier cage. And here's the scary part. A lot of people pay what I call the responsible feeling tax. They make a move that feels disciplined, like paying cash for a car or upgrading to prove they've made it, or buying a bigger house because it seems like the grown-up thing to do, while quietly killing the one thing that actually makes you wealthy. Investable surplus. Because, because the money you don't invest can't compound. And compounding is not impressed by your image. It only responds to time and capital. Now, I know some people are hearing this and thinking, easy for you to say, I'm supporting kids, or parents, or both. And that's real. About 23% of US adults are part of the sandwich generation, caring for both children and aging parents. Parents/Pew Summary. So yes, for everyday people, especially those carrying family on both sides, the window for compounding can feel brutally narrow. That's exactly why starting matters so much. Not because life is fair, because life is expensive, and delay is costly. Which brings us to the boring cheat codes. The first is lifestyle freezing. When your income rises, your lifestyle stays flat. Not forever, but long enough for the gap to become an army. You get a raise, but your rent doesn't jump just because your ego wants it to. You keep the same car for 3 more years. You don't immediately translate income growth into expense growth. You create distance between what you earn and what you spend. That distance is where freedom is born. The second cheat code is understanding savings rate math. Most people obsess over salary, but the math cares more about what percentage you keep. Mr. Money Mustache's famous breakdown shows that if you save 50% of your take-home pay, you're roughly 16 to 17 years away from financial independence. And that's driven primarily by savings rate, not by whether your salary is flashy. Source. That is such a violent truth, because it means two people can earn wildly different incomes, but the one with the better gap wins. The one with the flatter lifestyle wins. The one who keeps buying assets wins. The one who stops performing wealth and starts building it wins. The third cheat code is choosing boring assets. Not the next big thing. Not the sexy stock tip from a guy with a thumbnail face on YouTube. Not the coin your barber heard about. Boring, broad, relentless. FINRA notes that funds tracking major market indexes have historically offered a cost-effective and efficient way to get exposure to a broad basket of securities, generally with less risk than trying to bet on individual names. Source. That's why so many serious long-term investors keep coming back to broad index funds like VTI or VO, not because they're exciting, but because they let you own the market instead of trying to outsmart it. And that's the emotional shift most people never make. The rich life is not the loud life. It's the life with the absence of dread. It's opening your eyes in the morning without instantly doing panic math. It's being able to leave a bad job. It's being able to help your parents without wrecking yourself. It's being able to say no without fearing collapse. It's choosing your life based on values, not invoices. That's what financial freedom actually feels like. Not a yacht. The removal of the invisible fence. So here's the challenge. Stop asking, how much do I need to look successful? Start asking, what is my enough number? What number covers your life with dignity, peace, margin, and room to breathe? What number buys back your mornings? What number ends the dread? Find that number. Then do one boring thing today. Not tomorrow. Today. Set up the automatic transfer. Maybe it's $400 a month to a brokerage account. Maybe it's your first share of a broad index fund. Maybe it's canceling one payment that only exists to help you impress people who are also secretly stressed. But do something mechanical. Because motivation fades. Systems compound. And one day, if you stay boring long enough, the math stops feeling theoretical. One morning you wake up and realize your money handled more than you did while you were asleep. That is the moment. That is when you stop being a person who works for money and start becoming a person whose money works for them. Quietly, patiently, powerfully. That's the 1% mindset. Not luxury. Leverage. Not appearances. Ownership. Not more stuff. More life.